Now to Haiti, where hundreds of Kenyan police officers arrived this week at the start of a UN-backed security mission.
Went up to 71. Around 7 women were raped and 400 houses were gutted.
The mission for the officers in Haiti is to try to curb the gang violence that has overrun the country.
Today, we explore why Haiti is currently in a severe crisis, teetering on the brink of becoming a failed state. The government has declared a state of emergency due to escalating violence, with a gangland rebellion ripping through the country. Prime Minister Ariel Henry has announced his intention to step down amidst mounting pressure. According to UN estimates, gangs now control 80% of the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince. The situation deteriorated significantly when armed gangs, demanding the Prime Minister's resignation, attacked 2 prisons, allowing thousands of inmates to escape and resulting in dozens of casualties. The recent surge in violence between gangs and the Haitian government forced Prime Minister Henry to resign, following his travel to Kenya to secure policing assistance. Starting on February 29th, gangs intensified their attacks, focusing on Haiti's largest airport to prevent Henry's return. The unrest escalated further on March 2nd and 3rd when gangs raided the 2 largest prisons in Port-au-Prince and Jacmel. Overwhelming the police forces, they facilitated the escape of approximately 4,000 inmates, many of whom have ties to the gangs, thus bolstering their criminal networks. Presently, government forces have lost control and civil order has collapsed. Approximately 200 gangs, 95 of which are concentrated in Port-au-Prince alone, now effectively govern the nation. Among these, Jimmy Barbecue is a prominent figure, leading the G9 family and allies, the most powerful coalition of gangs in Haiti. The G9 portrays itself as a political entity fighting against government corruption, styling itself as the revolutionary forces of the G9 family and allies. Despite their political claims, the gangs are deeply involved in crime, including drug trafficking, exploiting Haiti's position as a transit point between Colombia and Puerto Rico. This criminal activity, coupled with acts of violence against civilians, has made Haiti one of the most dangerous places on Earth. The country's extreme poverty has exacerbated these issues, leading to widespread disenfranchisement and making it challenging to restore stability. Haiti's recent history reflects ongoing instability since the overthrow of dictatorial rule in 1986. Despite intermittent attempts at democracy, including international interventions to restore order, political tensions and violence have persisted. On January 12th, Haiti was struck by a devastating magnitude 7 earthquake, with the epicenter near the capital city of Port-au-Prince. The disaster affected an estimated 3 million people and resulted in a death toll of around 160,000. Located on the fault line between the North American plate and the Caribbean plate, Haiti's infrastructure, already fragile due to its poverty, was unable to withstand the quake, causing billions of dollars in damage and setting the country back decades. Following the 2010 disaster, new presidents were tasked with rebuilding the country, but Haiti's political system began to crumble. Voter turnouts for the next 2 elections were just 22% and 17% amid widespread rigging. Trust in the government was further eroded by massive corruption. Between 2008 and 2016, Haitian leaders embezzled $2 billion worth of loans from Venezuela. This money was part of the Petro-Caribe program, which was intended to fund development projects but was misused, ending up in the hands of a few individuals, including top-ranking government officials. This corruption led to widespread protests in 2018, exacerbated by a cost-of-living crisis as Venezuela, facing its own economic problems, stopped sending oil to Haiti under the Petro-Caribe program. This caused regular blackouts and inflation soared to 17%. The political crisis was a root cause of the current gang warfare, as criminal organizations grew in the vacuum left by the government. However, the problem with gangs in Haiti is more deeply rooted. The government not only failed to suppress these gangs, but actively supported them. This dates back to the 1950s, when Haiti's dictator created a personal militia called the Tonton Macoute, which persisted even after his regime ended, playing a significant role in subsequent military governments. In the 1990s, political figures began forming their own militias. President Jean-Bertrand Aristide, for instance, backed youth gangs called Chimère to fight his opponents. During an attempted coup in 2001, Aristide even called on gangsters to defend the National Palace. Over time, these gangs grew more powerful, especially in impoverished areas, where they started to control neighborhoods and engage in criminal activities. The G9 Family and Allies gang, led by Jimmy Barbecue, was initially supported by the government before the 2021 assassination. Founded in 2020 during the political crisis and nationwide protests, the G9 received weapons, money, uniforms, and vehicles from President Moïse. They used these resources in various attacks to conquer territory from other gangs. Despite the violence, the government did not attempt to arrest Jimmy Barbecue, indicating tacit approval. The president supported these gangs as a means of retaining power, using them to suppress opposition-backed gangs, notably the GPEP alliance. This proxy war between gangs aligned with different political factions contributed to the current state of violence. Following Moïse's assassination, the situation deteriorated further, leading to severe gang warfare today. Jimmy Barbecue was upset that his political ally Moïse was murdered, especially because Prime Minister Henry, who replaced him, was likely involved in the assassination. In retaliation, the G9 gangs became increasingly violent against the government. In 2021, they blocked a key oil terminal, causing a humanitarian disaster. However, Prime Minister Henry couldn't do much with only 9,000 officers on duty nationwide, as the gangs outnumbered the police by a wide margin. A U.S. diplomat described the Prime Minister as ineffective, noting he wasn't in control of the country. The only ones able to fight the G9 were rival GPP gangs and local defense groups, leading to full-on warfare in parts of Port-au-Prince, displacing tens of thousands of people. Citizens formed their own armed groups to protect their homes as the state collapsed, with no elected officials as terms expired and elections were delayed. The education, healthcare, and judicial systems broke down, and the country faced a severe malnutrition crisis and widespread cholera outbreaks. Despite its dire situation, Haiti soon lost the world's attention. Earlier this year, Haiti made headlines again due to another escalation in gang warfare. The Prime Minister said he would hold elections only once the government regained control, sparking protests from his opponents. He then traveled to Kenya to sign a bill for a UN-backed operation, with Kenya pledging to send 1,000 police officers to restore law and order in Haiti, potentially opening the door for other countries to send police or soldiers under the UN mission. The G9 saw this as a huge threat, attacking airports and prisons. With Prime Minister Henry resigning on March 11th, it appeared the G9 scored a major victory, potentially paving the way for Jimmy Barbecue to take over the country. However, international intervention might prevent this, with a new transitional government backed by the US possibly regaining control. Various countries have already pledged troops to support this, and the US approved $300 million in funding, anticipating a mass migration flow from Haiti to Florida if the violence continues. Washington seeks a stable government in Port-au-Prince, though it will take a long time for the country to heal. While Haiti is in shambles, the Dominican Republic across the border is doing well. Both countries share the island of Hispaniola and have similar populations, but the Dominican Republic's GDP is about $114 billion compared to Haiti's $20 billion. The Dominican Republic is an upper-middle income nation with one of the fastest growing economies in Latin America, averaging a growth rate of 5.8% since 2010, driven by industries like tourism and manufacturing. The Dominican Republic is on track to become a high-income nation by 2035. Historically, agriculture was important, but it now accounts for only 6% of the economy. The industrial sector, making up 33.8% of GDP, employs 20% of the workforce, with over 500 manufacturing companies producing clothing, electronics, and footwear. The country benefits from the Dominican Republic Central America Free Trade Agreement, allowing easy trade with the US, its largest trading partner. This has attracted significant foreign direct investment, totaling around $50 billion in 2021. Tourism, now one of the biggest sectors, accounts for 12% of GDP, thanks to investments in beach resorts and public infrastructure, making the Dominican Republic the most popular tourist destination in the Caribbean. The Dominican Republic's economic success is partly due to government policies providing relative stability, something Haiti has struggled with. Haiti's failure to recover from colonial exploitation and subsequent political turmoil, compounded by corruption and gang violence, has left it impoverished and unstable. In contrast, the Dominican Republic's better economic policies, investment in growth, and stable government have led to prosperity. The two countries, despite their similarities, have had very different historical trajectories, resulting in vastly different economic outcomes.